While digging in Ojuelos de Jalisco, Mexico, near El Toro, an ancient ruin, a tablet with 6 discs was found. On one of those discs shows our DNA. On another, the all-seeing eye. There's sacred geometry, and one most very important disc showing a Masonic symbol, the compass and the square. The origins of this symbol go back very, very far. In fact, where the Masonic order adopted this symbol from is something that I would love to understand more. As far back as I could trace it was back into 4000 BC Sumerian cuneiform era days, which is interesting because of obviously what we're finding here with the inverted pyramid. We see it a lot in a lot of pieces from Tula, as well as Ojuelos de Jalisco, and this shows it's coming out of the ground in a very interesting way. I'm going to play a recording of an interview about King Solomon because his story and the Masonic story I feel have an intersection that needs to be understood slightly better. I was fairly unaware of this and still have more research to do, but it's an interesting listen. Enjoy.
Solomon says that God answered his prayer and sent an angel down with a ring to give him a ring, and that ring gave him power over the spiritual world. And Solomon uses it in what seems to be an attempt to help humanity. He claims that he used the authority of the ring to summon all the principalities of the world, the Nephilim, that are these disembodied spirits going around causing all this illness and different things. And he does several things. He interviews them as to what they hate, what casts them out, and like what angel is over them, that they, if that angel comes, they'll flee. Michael or Raphael or whatever, right? He writes all this stuff down, and this becomes witchcraft. For instance, one of the demons told him, I was in the land of Persia or whatever, but I left because someone was cooking fish. A fish gallbladder burning over an open fire drives me nuts. It's like putrid to me because I'm a water-based demon, and something like we don't smell burning things underwater, and so seeing it in the open air just makes me want to vomit, and so I left. Solomon's like, that's interesting information. I'm going to write that down. So if you want to repel a water demon, burn the gallbladder of a fish over an open fire in the month of June on a full moon or whatever. And that became a spell, which is where witchcraft comes from. Does that make sense?
It does.
The pentagram they use in their prayer circles is an homage to the Ring of Solomon. Solomon called it a prayer circle. He used to use the names of God, Adonai, and different powerful names of God to keep the demons from getting to him while he's playing these games with them, interviewing them. He would summon them, milk them for information, forcing them to comply with the ring, and then basically saying, okay, you go over here. He would enslave them to build the temple of God. That's why they think all these rocks, the pyramids and stuff were built by these types of things. So the Masons come out of this as well. One of the highest ranking demons that Solomon enslaves to be a worker in the temple, he makes him a stone cutter and a mason, which is where the Masonic order seems to come with this demonic. Does that make sense? It's like all tied together. So Solomon summons all these guys, writes down a list of everything they hate based on starts to categorize and map out the spiritual world for the sake of humanity being able to control them. Because at this point, these things are running around tormenting the world. Solomon's trying to get a hold of it. So he's basically the sorcerer supreme, if you think of it like that. But he realizes that you can enslave the entire spiritual world if you get their bosses. They have to follow. And now you've cleared the world of demons, and guess what he trapped them in?
What?
A brass vessel, a lamp. This is where the legend of genies comes from. It's also the idea of Pandora's box. All the evil of the world trapped in one little itty bitty vessel, right? He throws it into the lake, drowning them. The world prospers. His kingdom prospers. Everything's good. No evil, no wars, no nothing. Humanity, hearing the legends of this, start trying to dive the sea to figure out how to get this lamp back up so they can release these things so that they can manifest. This is like literally manifestation. That's why it's so dark and deep. Very ancient roots to these things. They want stuff. These things have power. And while they were horrible and tormenting us, they also gave us what we wanted if we worshiped them, right? So they opened Pandora's box. Solomon's still in control because of the ring. But at this time, and this is where Balaam comes back in, guess what they did to trip up Solomon? They sent a woman to cause him to fornicate, who forced him as a literal prerequisite to sleeping with him, you have to worship my foreign god. They always try to get God to punish us through our sin because they can't curse us because of the authority we have in Christ. So they released Pandora's box. Solomon's still in control, but now he's being tempted to, if you want to marry the queen, I think it was the Queen of Sheba, you have to worship Moloch. So he sacrifices to Moloch, and he said the second he did it, he said, I immediately felt the Spirit of God depart from me. He said, as I continued to do it, I felt it completely abandon me, and I became the sport of the demons I once controlled. Spent the rest of his life tormented by demons and giving into all these different things. Now that God wasn't protecting him, he became a master of witchcraft to try to force these things to not be able to. He tried to take it into his. It's like, God's abandoned me. They're going to kill me. They're going to ruin my life. I have to figure. And so he comes up with all these spells he wrote. I remember so and so said he hates gallbladders, and so he started, get me 3 gallbladders of this, and he basically became a sorcerer in order to ward off the demonic world, which is now at his doorstep. And this is the birth of witchcraft. Solomon really perfected the art of the modern occult through his desperation to ward off the spiritual world after God left and abandoned him.